We're going to talk about the elections tomorrow. They are big elections, and in the United States, and I'd like to share my opinion on it. What effect I think it will likely have on the markets in the short and the long term, depending on the results. I have to first of all say that I am, of course, very biased, as I have a strong favorite in this election, which is Trump. So maybe probably my prediction should be cut in half when I'm positive about Trump, and should be cut in half also when I'm negative about Kamala or Harris. I'll try to give as a realistic an estimation as possible what I think the effects will be, so that it can maybe help you also in the last trading day to change your portfolio somewhat, so that you're protected no matter what happens. Because that's the challenge, and the art of portfolio management is that you want to at least for sure preserve your purchasing power, and that's goal number one. And then also goal number two is to grow it. But the way I approach this is I have different kind of investments. Some of them will do well if Trump wins, whereas others will do better when Kamala wins. I think that you have, of course, crypto. Crypto will likely do better if Trump wins versus Kamala in the short term as well as the long term, because the Democrats have been really clamping down on crypto, arresting developers, jailing them, having all kind of regulations and that really hinder the growth of cryptocurrencies. Likely this will lessen somewhat with if Trump gets elected. I think if Trump gets elected, I think the market will gap up. That's my best estimate. Similar to what happened with the election of Milei in Argentina. It's true that the market already pumped a lot. As we went into this election, S&P 500 made new all-time highs, and the market is already richly evaluated based on several metrics, and there's certainly a risk, heightened risk for a strong correction already in the market, independent of whether there are elections or not. But when you see that someone is elected that actually will make very likely a change for the better, such as happened in Milei elected in Argentina, the market truly gapped up with actually 20%. You could not trade that. The moment the election was done, the next trading day, it opened 20% higher. So you're not able to buy actually and then see a 20% gain. No, the valuation of the assets is suddenly valued 20% higher. That's what happened in Argentina, and and only 6 months later the market continued to go up with another 200% in total. So actually another 100% from that 20% gap up, it went up another 100% in only 6 months later. That's what happened in Argentina. Now, of course, Argentina market was extremely and severely already depressed because they have hyperinflation for a long time. That really reduces the value of assets a lot, even though they go up in fiat currency. In real currency, such as measured versus the US dollar, actually the stock market in Argentina went down for a long time. So when someone like Milei gets elected, who has as its sole objective to reduce government and reduce socialism, reduce the amount of employees, the amount of social programs, really get rid of this, what really destroyed the Argentina economy for 100 years now, is big government and socialism. then of course it's very positive news for assets, for companies that are active in Argentina, and therefore the market gaps up with good reason, and it was not actually it was just the start. In the United States, a bit different because, of course, they don't have as much big government and socialism as they have, and a hyperinflation as they have seen in Argentina, but they do have quite some of it. And this is the first election where Trump actually also says that he will actually has the goal to reduce government considerably. And is also working together with people that are really serious about that, such as Elon Musk, and are also able to execute that. If they win, that is indeed very positive news, because that's a real that's really the risk for the United States economy, is that they do not do that. Then everybody knows now that interest payments on the debt in the United States are now so high that that actually it will collapse the system. Like they need to really reduce the amount of money that the government spent dramatically if they want to save the US dollar. There is no other option anymore. And if it's not done, then actually you will see either a default of the debt, which is unlikely, and so that means they will just hyperinflate US dollar. You will see indeed massive inflation in the United States, and the United States will lose its role as a leader of the world, as the strongest country in the world. So there is really no other way than to cut expenses dramatically. And if Trump gets election, that actually may happen. It's not a certainty that it will happen. Trump could just be blowing air and may actually not do these things and get rid of Elon Musk a week after the elections once he's in office, and not do that. That's possible. But there is a probability that it will happen, and they will cut government quite a lot, and that will save actually the United States economy and the US dollar, and for the near future, for the next few decades. If they start that trajectory now, then actually the United States can continue to be a leader, the strongest economy in the world for a couple more decades. And therefore the market has good reason to gap up. But how much? I would estimate 5%. Is a very big gap up for a big stock market like the United States. So that's my guess. I do not think it's likely that the market will actually sell off a Trump win, because yes, it's true that prediction markets favor Trump. They say that the odds are 60-70% that Trump will win, but that's not 100%. When Trump does win, that actually is now 100% certainty that he wins. In that case, I think the market will continue to buy that up. It will continue to pump. The market has pumped into the election, likely because it looks probable that Trump will win. If he actually wins, I think it will go up more. And what do I think happens when Kamala wins, Harris wins, the Democrats win? Then I think it will be a seldom news event, because the market pumped likely on a Trump probably winning. So if he doesn't win, then probably the market will sell off. But also like fundamental investors and worldwide investors, like it is not really looking good actually for the US economy and US dollar if Kamala wins. So I think it will sell off, and also in the long term it won't look good for crypto, even though crypto is in a bull market, and stocks are in a bull market. Actually the underlying fundamentals are not strong. the big problem here is that commodities have really started going up. Gold as a leader the past 5 years has started to go up, and also gold production has stagnated. So I think it's certainly possible we're in actually commodity bull market, and not a stock bull market but a commodity bull market. And in that case, actually, then I mean, we may see corrections where stocks correct a lot more than gold, and then similar as we have seen in 2008 financial crisis, or even in the dot-com, which was just a recession, dot-com bubble collapse. What you saw there was that actually gold did not sell off at all because it already at bottom, but in the financial crisis, gold also went down with 2008 with 20%, but the stock market went down with 50%. So and after that, gold really rebounded a lot stronger. I think that's a scenario that would also happen under a Trump win, but later. But with Kamala Harris, I think it can happen earlier. So, but I think the worst scenario would be a standoff where the Democrats do not recognize a Trump win, and the Trump Republicans do not actually recognize a Kamala Harris Democrat win, and in that case, there's a standoff, and there is no clarity who's the next president. In that case, I think markets will sell off stronger even than when Kamala wins, because uncertainty is the killer of a market, and then the scenarios start to the fear scenarios that you can get a civil war and all that. Although it's very unlikely, I agree that would happen. It certainly becomes much more likely. In that case, stocks will go to zero. So that's why it's probable that the market would sell off strong then, and that's really hopefully something that does not happen. Hi guys, welcome to the live show. Let me take a look at the comments. John D, hier zit Darcy on the mark, speaking Dutch. Good morning, John D. Rising Star Entertainment says hello. Jack Knife, hi Mark, do you have an opinion on silver and gold? Thank you. Yes, so silver and gold has performed very strong, but the main problem I see with gold right now is that well, first of all, the positive news is it's likely in a bull market, gold, but it is being overbought, so I think it's likely to correct here at least 10%, 15%. Whenever there's a correction, I'm planning to buy gold, because I believe that I was wrong in my analysis the last few years, believing that it's not likely that we have a bull market in commodities, but I've revised that and I've changed my mind on that. Looking at the gold production numbers, it's clear that gold production has stagnated, gold mining, and that always coincides with, that means that the gold prices are not high enough. That started happening in 2019 before COVID, and it's still the case today. Gold mining production has dropped a lot in 2019, and then in 2020 it started going back up again, but it's not yet at the same height as it was in 2018. But we're almost at the same level again. But that's clear that actually gold prices are not high enough for miners to really produce a lot of it and enough of it, and that continues to put gold under pressure, the gold price under pressure. But what you do see now is that you have a very high amount of gold by central banks around the world due to the uncertainties of how the United States has really policed the world. They've done a piss poor job and created lots of division. In different regions, failed to basically bring peace, and instead they brought war in different areas and threats, and therefore central banks and even used the US dollar as a weapon in the recent war with Russia, where they excluded the Russians from the US dollar banking system. That made clear to the rest of the world that they should really diversify away from the US dollar, because what will happen to them? Like what you need, what can you do with your US dollars if the US government says that you're not no longer part of the US dollar payment system? Like you're screwed. So that's why central banks around the world want other currencies, fiat currencies, and also gold as part of their basket of assets. And that's what's been happening the last few years also. But of course, it's also a shortage of just bullion gold and that really causes this price rise. And I think if Trump would win, that would reduce the pressure on gold, because likely he will reduce the amount of wars around the world. Likely he will assist in reducing the tensions around Ukraine, and also the tensions in the Middle East. Towards China, he will probably not reduce the tensions, but with China, there is not really a war going on. It's an economical war. It's not a physical war. I do not believe Trump would also is interested in a physical war with China. So I think if Trump wins, gold will also we'll see a correction, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the gold story. I do believe we're in a long-term bull market there, and it's really it's important to actually have it as part of your portfolio now, because you can no longer say that that with certainty that it's unlikely that we see a commodity bull market. No, that the chances have gone up a lot for that. Silver, I think you can wait with that because silver only performs really at the end of a bull market. Very similar to Bitcoin in the crypto world, pumping first before all the others pump. The biggest one pumps first, and silver really is not money anymore. It's not also a bullion reserve anymore. No central banks use this as a reserve. So silver is really a niche market, and yeah, you have to watch out and you have to time that correctly. So I don't think we're there yet for silver. So I would wait a couple more years before really investing in silver. The ratio between gold silver typically goes to about 100. 1 ounce of gold will be worth about 100 times 1 ounce of silver. I have to look at the chart, but we're not near those really lows. Silver can go considerably lower versus gold before it could be a real good buy. So I believe the best strategy here is first investment in gold, and then later, as the bull market comes to an end or is nearing an end, diversify away to silver from with your gold to get that last big pump before you lock in your profits into other assets. So hi Jackknifed, thank you for your question. He has another question. As an investor, do you indulge in collecting hobbies? Collecting hobbies? No, I don't have any hobbies where I collect stuff except for women and children. Those I think are great things to collect because they give you lots of good vibes and also some troubles at times, but other than that, I'm not collecting anything except for a portfolio with different investments also. A clear mind starts with a clear home and a clear space, and as Joe Rogan's Jordan Peterson says, if you want to clean up your life, start by cleaning up your room. And that's hard to do if you're collecting lots of stuff such as cars or I don't know, cartoon figures or cards, or your house starts to cramp up with a lot of stuff that you need to take care of. And I don't want to spend time on that. I can enjoy someone else's collection, that I can enjoy, but to have it my own, No, there is only so much you can really take care of. And having several women is indeed already a big job, as many people ask me, how do you do that? Yeah, you do have to spend attention on each woman and time and with children the same. So that really, I prefer to let my energy and my money go in that direction. Thanks for the question, Jackknife. Randall says, why are you so interested in my country's politics? I assume your country is the United States. Well, because they are the leader of the world. And where I live in Europe, actually lots of, it's very much influenced by what happens in the United States in all areas, including politics, but also in media, in culture, in music, movies. Lots of the things that we actually look at in the United States is American culture, and most of the things we end up using, and like I'm on a laptop, on a cell phone, that coming these days all from the United States, all these innovations, or the internet, or YouTube, or I'm now using X a lot, formerly Twitter, also the United States. Like I'm investing in things like Tesla, it's also the United States. Except cryptocurrency, where you can say that actually no, and that's really a worldwide phenomenon. But I also start investing in micro cap companies. Also is United States, Canada. Why? Because well, the best. If you look at who to follow in these areas, they end up being YouTubers again from the United States or Canada. The funds that you can find that are great funds are also again from the United States. Like, you know, the United States really standing out in many areas, and is leading the world. But also when it comes to politics, what you see is that in Europe, really, it's really a lots of copy pasting from what's happening in the United States. So it will have a big impact also on Europe, whether if the United States would turn right and more conservative and less government, less socialism, that will also actually happen in Europe. It will help Europe a lot in going in the same direction. Of course, it's not a copy paste fully, because it's actually, you could say, it's a feedback loop mechanism. You do see some original things being created in Europe also when it comes to media. Spotify, for example, was created in Europe, and certain politicians have actually, you have already much more right conservative governments in certain European countries already. But it certainly is a feedback loop, and what happens in the United States has a big impact on what happens in Europe. How long do you think the bull market of gold would last? It would last probably 10 years, and we're only 5 years in. Hi, Gresham is also on the call. Hi, Gresham. I had a live interview with him. If you haven't seen it yet, I was in Tokyo, Japan a month ago or so, and we did a great interview of 1 hour, 2 hours talking. Check it out under my live shows on YouTube. Hi, Erev Noob, great to see you too. Mohammed says, hi Mark, I hope you're doing well. What does it mean for crypto if Trump wins? Yeah, so I think crypto will also gap up in valuations, just like the stock market. That's the most probable, and will continue its bull market. I likely see nice gains there. It may also, which I don't like very much, increase Bitcoin BTC, its market share some more, even though it's already historically high at 60%, because Trump and is really a crypto noob, he may do something that favors Bitcoin BTC over other cryptocurrencies, such as making a statement that they will now not sell off any Bitcoin BTC anymore, that the government confiscates from people, and therefore that may give another extra pump to Bitcoin BTC and bring market share to 65%, or who knows, maybe even 70%. That may happen. But I think that the writing is on the wall that it's much more likely actually that actually the bull market continues, and that means that it actually spreads out now to the other assets. Ethereum first in line, and after that the smaller altcoins as well. I think that's most likely that actually you will be better off investing in Ethereum and smaller cryptocurrencies than remaining invested in Bitcoin BTC if Trump would win. I think the best illustration of that is MicroStrategy, that really has pumped so much that it's really clearly exuberance to pump the value of an asset 3 times higher than its intrinsic value. Is not normal. The premium is 3 times, like you could get 3 times more Bitcoin BTC if you just buy them outright, or you buy some ETF, than if you invest in MicroStrategy. And MicroStrategy is the biggest promoter, the guy, the sailor of Bitcoin as an investment. So if you look at different parameters, like okay, market share, Bitcoin BTC is already historically very high. The trend is still downwards, because I have had discussions there with Decentralized Dave and some others who believe that actually the trend is upwards or sideways for market share of Bitcoin BTC, but that's not correct. Yes, it is true that the low in Bitcoin BTC market share was not as low the last cycle in 2021 when everything was peaking out. Bitcoin BTC market share went to 30% low, and the market and the bull market before in 2017, the market share of Bitcoin BTC dropped to, let's say, 27% or something. And so you could say like, oh look, we made a higher low, and Bitcoin BTC is not losing market share anymore at the peak of the bull markets. You could say that, but if you look at moving averages, because what you see is that actually it dropped only very low, quickly in 2017. Market share dropped very quickly from, what was it? It was 80% or so, 90% to 25% in like a couple of months. Market share completely collapsed, but then it quickly recovered in the bear market thereafter in 2018-19, whereas the market share in the next bull market of Bitcoin BTC dropped again to 30%. Okay, not 25%, but it stayed a long time there. So if you use moving averages, you will see that actually, if you average it out, the low of Bitcoin BTC market share in 2017 was actually higher than the low in 2021, 2022. And you can see that actually Bitcoin BTC market share is going down over time when it comes to the lows, but it clearly is going down over time when it comes to the highs. So that's the trend, and it's also normal and reasonable that Bitcoin BTC market share go down over time. So yeah, I think that's most likely here. And yeah, I think so many crypto investors still have that wrong. Of course, I have had it wrong a long time. I admit to that. I never expected Bitcoin BTC market share to be around 60% in 2024. I divested already in 2017 from Bitcoin BTC. Okay, market share was then still 80%. That's when I divested. But if you would have asked me then, where do you think it will be in 2024? I would have never thought it would be 60%. Never. I would have thought like it's probably going to be somewhere a minority, maybe 40%, 30%, 20%, something like that. I would have guessed. And that would have been a very educated guess, but it was still very wrong, because we're still at 60%. But yeah, that doesn't mean that I had also discussion with Gresham about this in the podcast, the live podcast, where he says, yes, but the market is always right. You have to admit that. And actually, I thought more about that, and that's not true. I don't agree to that. Yes, I can admit that I was wrong with certain predictions. Yes, but to say that the market is always right, no, that's really actually how I make my money is only because the market is wrong, and it's rarely right. Sometimes it's right when assets are at fair value, but the moment it's overvalued or undervalued, actually the market is wrong, and that's how I make my money. And is Bitcoin, and that's the question. So Jackknife asks, Mark, are you still interested in privacy coins? I think I remember you saying that at one time, but I may be misremembering. Yes, I am. I've actually thought a lot about privacy coins and studied them the past year. I have, many years ago, I invested in Monero shortly, but I sold it and quickly after during the bull market. And the last time I did that must be somewhere in 2017 or so, 2016. But I've not invested in Monero since because it has a bad reputation. And it has higher legal risk. That's the main thing, and because it does have one thing going for it, and that's it's actually used. One of the few cryptocurrencies actually used for as a currency to pay people, but it's in the dark markets. The problem with that is that it brings legal risk, and I really cannot, like, since what happened to me in Kenya, where I was falsely accused of money laundering, and just so they could take the money of my family in Kenya. I really got a scare of that. That's like, for me, the most important thing is like I'm interested to make money in the world of investing, but not if it means also taking legal risk, because it's not worth it. Like, first and foremost, I need to provide for my family, and and I cannot do that when I'm jailed, even when it's with false accusations. If they fly in court, you end up in jail, and judges can be very partial and very unjust, as happened to us in Kenya, and very corrupt even. And you better avoid getting any attention. And that's your best protection against such dramatic turn of events for your personal life. And therefore, like, I do not dare to risk investing in Monero. Even if it's just an investment, you're not going to use it. And even if you can prove that, then still, like, I don't want to take the risk. So I looked at other privacy coins, and the one that I found attractive was Zano. Roger invests in that also, and yeah, I think that's the main bullish case here. It's not a new project; it's only 4 years, 5 years old, but yeah, they continue to develop it, and they have a low market cap. That's also important, because I invested a lot in big market cap. When you invest in something that's already in the top 10, chances you're going to make money is a lot lower, because it yeah, that happened to me with Bitcoin Cash, and before that with NXT, as well as with Byteball. They were already top 5, top 10 projects when I invested in it, and I didn't really make money on that. So that's also an important thing. Of course, Monero has actually not that high of a market cap. It's actually dropped a lot in market cap, in the ranking. It used to be top 10 or top 20. Now it's top 40, top 50. It has really taken a beating from being delisted. And that's what's happening behind the scenes. Why do crypto exchanges delist Monero? It's because they get threatened by government agencies, that if they do not delist it, then they'll get trouble. And so government agencies are trying to really target Monero and therefore I think there is legal risk there, that they may not target the exchanges, but they may target users or investors, and I don't want to take that risk. But there are many other privacy coins. They are small and they are not being targeted. And in the end, privacy coins do have a legal right to exist. So I think they will, in the long run, they will win in getting being allowed and being legal to be used and invested in, fully legal and fully recognized, just like that is the case today with Bitcoin, BTC, and Ethereum, and other big cryptocurrency. They are fully legal now. There's no risk that you're gonna be just for investing in it, you're gonna be targeted. But I think that will also happen in the long term for privacy coins, and I think they will become more important. Because it's a real problem when you pay with cryptocurrencies. Users are not aware of this public blockchain, what's happening there, but yeah, actually users do not want such a transparency, and privacy coins solve that. And the problem with this transparency is that I used to think that actually this can only protect you, but that's not true. If you look at the court cases that happening in the United States against developers, for example, you have the developers of the, and also in the Netherlands, of a mixer that's active on Ethereum, and you also have of the Ethereum mixer there. You have also the developers of another wallet that also mixes. It is in the United States, and they just get. But the most shocking case is where there's just a user from Norway who has been using mixers, BTC mixers. He had been doing that for a long time because he had been selling Bitcoin BTC to people in meetings, but he realized actually he should not just sell the BTC like that. He should mix it first, because otherwise those that buy the BTC can see his wallets and his past transactions. So he should mix them and then only then sell them. And the guy got convicted for money laundering and is years in prison in the United States. And they actually use blockchain analysis to convict him. But the problem is with blockchain analysis is that the jury doesn't really know what they are looking at. And so they think like, okay, that looks like strong evidence. But actually, it's not conclusive evidence. It's only when you really understand how blockchain payments work that you can actually see that actually, no. That's actually not hard evidence here. That does not close the case. But to a jury, it looks like, this looks very advanced, and wow, yeah, it looks like this guy is without a doubt guilty, and so people get jailed due to this transparent blockchain. So I think this is a problem that will become bigger, and with privacy coins, like with cash, you don't have that problem. The way it goes when it comes to court cases, and it's like there is a reason why they say don't give any information when you're getting interrogated by the police. You have to say that you will talk only when your lawyer is present, and when your lawyer is actually present, he will tell you do not talk. The reason being is that they are not there to, like, whatever you say, it will be used against you in almost all cases. There are only a few exceptions. And therefore, it's better you say nothing, because it's actually their job to find the evidence. It's not your job to give any evidence or any leads or any information. It's their job. So you shouldn't help them. And you do that by not talking. But it's a bit the same. It is like... if you make payments with bills, with cash, it's hard to prove where did this cash come from, where did it go, because there is no ledger, there is nobody writing down, okay, these notes with these serial numbers went to there, then these notes went from there to there. Like, nobody is writing that down, so it's hard to trace. But with transparent blockchains, that's written down and visibly public for everyone. and that makes that actually there's lots of information, and then if they have lots of information from you, they can easily flip that and use that against you. You can also use that in favor of yourself. You can also use that to protect yourself. That's true. Huh? But who will they believe? You or the prosecution, who has hired a blockchain analysis company using big reports and making very scary allegations that you're a criminal, huh? And then the judge or the jury needs to make a judgment. Huh? So yeah, I've invested in Zano, and yeah, it has gone up considerably actually, past year from $2 to $7 or so, but it's still $100 million market cap, and so it still has great potential, I believe. Marcus Meyer. Yeah, your price targets for 2025 for BCH and Ethereum. Actually, I went to a conference for Bitcoin Cash, and it was very good for me because I did some really deep diving into Bitcoin Cash, because I really had lost my hope and my belief in the project. But I was asked to give a presentation, and then you're kind of screwed. What are you gonna say there? That you don't believe in it anymore? You should have good reasons then to say that. And so I studied it more, and yeah, I've come to the conclusion that yes, Bitcoin has a big problem when it comes to adoption. The what the community has tried to find adoption on brick and mortar stores was a failed strategy, I believe, and should stop. It's a waste of time and energy, and it doesn't lead to results. And it's very simple. Why that doesn't lead to results is because there are not enough users. For example, in Argentina, they do succeed in keeping some merchants on, but that's because the few Bitcoin Cash users that there are, they will all go to the same butcher. And then that butcher has some customers that regularly come to pay with Bitcoin Cash and that they can stay alive. But it's a very limited amount of merchants that will be able to justify that. And so the user base is just too small for that. And what you need to do is you really need to focus on that. Like, you need to focus on building a new user base, and you do that by using cryptocurrency, using the innovations of cryptocurrency. Because what's your advantage of paying with Bitcoin Cash at a merchant? Do you gain anything with that? Does the merchant gain anything with that? No, not much. Compared to other cryptocurrencies, or compared to fiat currencies, there's no real gain. Like, you should be able to say, like, look, I can only do that with Bitcoin Cash. There's nothing else that allows me to do that. And or if I do it with Bitcoin Cash, it gives me lots of benefits, this and that. And in that case, you will attract new users because they have to use it. And that's, of course, a very hard nut to crack. But some cryptocurrencies have achieved that. Monero achieved that by being the first privacy coin, and therefore got adoption in dark market, is now really a leader there. And you really need Monero to be able to buy something in the dark market. So they achieved a use case. Ethereum also achieved a use case where, if you want to do DeFi, you want to borrow against your crypto, well, you need to use Ethereum. There's no other way. Or Bitcoin BTC still has a strong use case, use case in ATMs. If you want to use cryptocurrency ATMs, you're gonna have to use Bitcoin BTC likely, because the ATM doesn't offer anything else often. So Bitcoin Cash needs to find that use case, and that's difficult. It may be, I don't know what it is, and if anyone If there are any people that have an idea or try to work on something, I'm interested to invest in that. But there is actually one property that Bitcoin Cash has that no other cryptocurrency has, huh? And that is actually that it is the real Bitcoin. And that it's the only, that it has the Bitcoin brand name that is so valuable. Huh? And that's something that's actually not valued in the market yet or anymore. Huh? In the beginning, when Bitcoin Cash forked off from Bitcoin BTC, it was valued as a Bitcoin fork because it got 20% or so of the value of Bitcoin BTC. You can say like, okay, this is a legit contender, huh? And it's profiting from being also Bitcoin, having Bitcoin brand name, and it's valued for that. But today, Bitcoin BTC, Bitcoin Cash is valued at only 0.5% of Bitcoin BTC, or even less. It's almost nothing. And so you can say today that actually Bitcoin Cash is not valued for a very valuable property that it does have, which is that it is Bitcoin. It has the Bitcoin brand name, but it's also the real Bitcoin in that it continued to develop Bitcoin the right way, scaling on chain, and thereby allowing people to have cheap transactions, but also allowing innovations to happen on top of Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash is still building that way. It also preserved the business model. Actually, it built it out. The business model of Bitcoin from the beginning was not that a piece of the inflation would go to developers or marketing. No, the business model that was that the only there is a small inflation that goes down over time, and it goes to only for mining, for meaning securing the network, approving of transactions. You need to run computers for that. They get paid, and those are the only ones that get paid from the project. All the other ones need to get paid by donations. And Bitcoin Cash built a system and cultivated a system of donations. Monero actually also has that. As one of the few, but most other coins do not have that, and you could call them indeed company coins because they do not cultivate a donation culture. Bitcoin Cash now already has a second system. The first one was Flipstart, so that was very successful. People donated to many projects. I also did that. Now they have Fund.me or Fund.cash that is now the new system, more user-friendly, where people just donate to develop things for Bitcoin Cash or to do marketing or for Bitcoin Cash, and it works. So but I don't think these things are valued. Like Bitcoin BTC failed also, and Ethereum also, they failed to really build such a culture, and as a consequence, they are being hijacked and they are being captured, because everybody needs to get paid. And if the lead developers do not get paid, they will look for money elsewhere. And that's what happened with Bitcoin BTC. The lead developers stop developing for Bitcoin BTC. Instead, they try to launch new projects on top of it, such as Lightning Network, to try to capture value from the network. And in Ethereum, it is happening the same now. Instead of really scaling Ethereum, the layer 1, they actually just develop new projects, and they can make a lot more money there, having a piece of a layer 2 project, all these kind of new projects. The lead developers of Ethereum are involved in that. They make a lot more there than what they make from Ethereum, because there is no business model. There's no piece of the inflation going to them, but there is also there's a foundation of Ethereum, but that's running dry. And the donation culture is low. They look at them as Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, and therefore they need to start new projects. That's how they think they need to make their money, but it's all at the expense of Ethereum being developed decently and scaled. Bitcoin Cash does not suffer from that problem. They have realized that they need to indeed build a donation system, and so I think these things are not valued. Therefore, I've decided to keep my Bitcoin Cash investment and not continue to sell it off, because I did sell off a very big piece during the last bear market but I still have a 15% exposure now, and I'm happy with that, and I will keep that. Wow, we're going on long tangents here, guys. We started about the elections. That's the main topic. I gave my opinion in the beginning. You can rewatch the live video to see my opinion on the elections and how will the market react to these if the left wins or the right wins. So Marcus Meyer was asking price targets for BCH and Ethereum in 2025. If Trump wins, I believe that we have a real full-on bull market, and therefore I believe that Ethereum will go to 6,000 to 10,000 US dollars, and Bitcoin Cash will go to breaching its all-time high, and going to that was $1,500, going to $3,000, $6,000. Let's say $3,000. I didn't do really a study on that. It's just off the top of my head. Do you still follow Trollolo chart? Hi, Quiz Key. Yes, I do. There too, I think, I just, every time I'm thinking of selling crypto, I can't pull the trigger because I look at the Trollolo chart and say, like, altcoins really are still depressed. They are not at fair value. They are seriously undervalued versus their trend line. And I do believe that's really, very important as an investor. You should not sell investments that are seriously undervalued. You should buy them. And I have a 50% exposure, so I'm seriously exposed. It's a big exposure. But I cannot justify selling crypto. It's very difficult, and that's because of the Trollo chart. And I do believe that actually the altcoin Trollo chart that I sometimes publish on X is reasonable. Like, I have had discussions with Decentralized Dave also, and I like very much that he's really challenging my work, and he's digging into my arguments and trying to debunk them. I like that very much about him. You can follow him also on Twitter and YouTube. And he did that also for the altcoin Troll chart, where he says that, look, you had a gigantic bubble in 2017, and that has really skewed the Troll chart upwards, and has brought the fair value of altcoins way higher than it should be. And his opinion is that this mega bubble that we saw in altcoins in 2017 will never come back, and was based on foolishness of the market thinking that other cryptocurrencies can actually do what Bitcoin can, the leader, and therefore there's lots of potential there. But that's not true. The leader will keep the lead likely, thanks to its network effects, and there's actually a lot less potential in crypto with altcoins, and people now realize that, and therefore you should not put your hopes into altcoins. And I think I would agree with that, if indeed Bitcoin BTC was managed well and was not destroying its network effect, that it has working to its favor. And the same that if you're a leading social network like Facebook, it's very hard to destroy that, but it has to be because it has a network effect to its advantage, but it has to continue to be on top of things also. It cannot just like start slagging or even doing things that are destructive for the network. In that case, there will be competitors that will take your market. And that's clearly the case with Bitcoin BTC. They have actually sabotaged it. However, I do have to admit that actually the past 3 years, Bitcoin BTC did go up in the amount of transactions the most. Not the most, but like it did go up. It doubled the amount of transactions, despite people still believing that it does not scale on chain. Wow, the amount of transactions did double the past 3 years, so that means that they have been scaling on chain. And the transaction cost, is still high. That's a problem. But it did go up in the amount of transactions. So With Ethereum, for example, that's not the case. Ethereum in the past 3 years did not go up in amount of transactions. So that's quite something to realize. But still, overall, I think you can say that Bitcoin BTC is managed very poorly. Yes, it went up in amount of transactions, but transaction fees are still way too high for many people to use it, other than investors that do large amounts. And it certainly cannot be, you cannot innovate on top of it. So I think it's still very poorly managed, and therefore I think it's still very likely that others will take over the market. And that could be that who that is a lot more difficult. Like there I may be wrong. It may not be Ethereum. It may be Solana that becomes the bigger than BTC. Everybody seems to think that now. I used to think a long time actually it will be Ethereum, and I'm still invested accordingly. My biggest position is still Ethereum, which is a little bit bigger than my Bitcoin Cash position, because I still believe Ethereum has the highest probability to become the biggest cryptocurrency in this coming bull market. And right now is a good time to play that, because nobody believes that anymore, and Ethereum has gone down a lot versus Bitcoin BTC. So I think it's a very good investment right now, in contrast to something like Solana, which has pumped a lot and is now has 20x, whereas Ethereum only doubled in the past year or 2 years. And Solana is now a top 10 coin, but there's so many projects that come into top 10 then disappear. It's extremely hard to stay there and to really beat Ethereum, and nobody succeeded in that, and I do not believe Solana will be the first one. I do not believe that. Yes, maybe it can hype in valuation shortly above it, but it's not like okay, I did not study Solana, that's true, but like the network effect, that like what I hear about it, that it's leading in meme coins. Yeah, sorry, but that does not have strong fundamentals. Meme coins, these are short hypes. NFTs, you could say that okay, actually there may be a future there, but it's also there is a clear innovation there. But digital rights online, yes, but then still, but Ethereum is leading in many assets still. That Solana is not even trying to challenge, such as decentralized finance, loans, as well as real-world assets. People that want a public use a blockchain for an application will usually select Ethereum. So many multinationals and companies are investing in that. So and are using a blockchain. So I think that's likely to happen for Ethereum. One moment. Okay, so let's go through the comment. What's your take on WorldCoin? I think that's a scam, Faraja. CM, he has a prediction that Trump 312, 300 and Harris 220. Okay, I don't know what that means. It's probably prediction market. Check Knife asks me, Mark, did you watch the HBO documentary where they concluded Peter Toth is Satoshi? What do you think of that? I did not watch it, but I think it's nonsense, of course. No, Peter Toth is not Satoshi. That's a propaganda piece to pump Bitcoin BTC, probably supported by those that now are launching Bitcoin BTC ETFs and want this to pump in value. And therefore, if you claim that someone who's in the Bitcoin lead development team is also Satoshi, that looks good on Bitcoin BTC. So let's let's launch that rumor, and that should be a good thing for Bitcoin BTC. CM says I never said that the market is always right. That's the market is always right. That's the discussion I had with Curtis in Japan, Tokyo. He's saying that he did not say that. Well, then I think you did say that. You can rewatch the video. I think you did say that as an argument. Why yeah, when we were talking about BTC versus BCH, or I think you did bring that up actually. The RF noob. Mark, what do you think about XMR? Is it being delisted from all major exchanges? It is being delisted from all major exchanges, Monero, but its community is growing and the price is not collapsing. I believe it's good value in Monero, as I mentioned earlier, but I think it's too much legal risk to invest in it. My quote, CM says, my quote, even if your theory is intelligent and logical, if the market disagrees with you, then you still lose money. Huh? Yeah, that's certainly true, CM. Huh? In that case, you could say the market is always right in that it doesn't matter whether you are right. If the market does prices in such a way, you're going to lose money. That's true. Huh? And so the challenge as an investor is indeed to invest in something where the market will agree with you later on. Huh? That's what you should look for. If you invest in something and the market continues to disagree with you, even though you're right, as long as the market does not agree, you're not making money. Huh? And it can be a long time of waiting. And therefore, a good investor tries to invest in things that are at a tipping point where the market does not agree yet, but is likely to agree soon. Huh? And that's really the challenge indeed. Materi says, asks me, did the Kenyan authorities release your monies? Well, only a piece. We had 3 cases against us of 3 family members that received money from me on a bank account. These 3 accounts were frozen, and that's 3 different legal cases. One of them they dropped due to a lack of evidence, and then later the 2 others we lost. Somehow they found evidence, but they haven't shared any evidence with us, or in court even. They had never made any case. We made our case, showed all the evidence why my money is clean, where the money is coming from, how I made it. I did a full source of funds as well as a source of wealth, showing all the evidence to the judges where my money was coming from, what I sold to be able to send that to my girlfriends in Kenya. And but no, it was not sufficient. We lost the case, and now we are in the courts of appeal, challenging these unjust verdicts. Jack Shalat says, I've read your comment on X about Chainlink founder Sergey Nazarov. Can you elaborate more on why you didn't invest in it? What is your advice for people holding Chainlink token now? Well, Chainlink indeed, I met the founder Sergey Nazarov once in Belgium. He was visiting. That was during the NXT era. That's in 2014, 2015. I was investing in NXT, and he was also part of that project. And I invested also some developers of NXT there. He was also with that group. I just noticed he was not really interested to talk to me much, even though I was a big investor in NXT at the time. And he was more interested in just go partying and go seduce some girls. And he didn't seem a trustworthy person to me. Later, he found that Chainlink had a very big success with that. He had fallouts actually also with these developers at the time, And I never got to why the fallout was there, but it looked like they also did not like to work him much. But he has, of course, a genius streak because later he proved that with Chainlink, and he had a big success there. But yeah, it's just another project that pumped a lot in value into the top 10, and then yeah, how can it become bigger even? That's not likely. So many people do not buy that now, sell it if you have invested in it. And but yeah, as usual, most people don't do that. They hold on to it, and then it drops away out of the public eye, and most projects end up dying. And I've also invested in many such projects. I'm still invested in Obite. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was big once, but it's dead now. I did sell out of NXT, but after that, then it pumped hard before it died. Yeah, okay. But that's the one of the hardest thing as an investor is to clean up your portfolio and to sell your losers for projects that are more promising, because you're locking in the loss. When as long as you don't sell it, you can think like maybe I'm gonna make it back. The moment you sell it, you're now sure that you're not gonna make it back with that project, and and of course the position becomes smaller and smaller over time as the a loser loses and the winners win. Your losing projects become smaller and smaller, and becomes less and less worth it to even bother trying to go through that pain to sell it, and the liquidity goes down and you end up just never selling it. And you can work that way also, but the best investors in this world actually do cut out the losers from their portfolio. The faster you do that, the better it is. And I think Chainlink, I've never seen the potential. I've never seen it, and I still don't see it today. Some people do see it, but you have to be careful. Those that do see it, have they made their money with Chainlink in the previous bull market? If they did, then it's you're really very like it creates an emotional attachment when you made money with something. It becomes so much harder to sell it, and that's the case with most Chainlink believers, I believe. As with every project, you have to compare it cryptocurrencies with companies, because we all know much better how to invest in companies than in cryptocurrencies. And we're much more able to be rational with companies than with cryptocurrencies, and even then. But with companies, we do know that like it needs to grow in revenues or in earnings. Otherwise, like, what are you doing? That's clearly not growing. Like, you need to sell it, or like the leaders, the CEO, they need to be promising. When you watch an interview in them, you need to see what they're doing. You need to be able to believe in them, and what they say, and that they have a path forward that could succeed. And if none of that is there, you need to just sell the company. And it's the same with the cryptocurrency. So yeah, that's my advice on Chainlink. Araf Noob says, thank you, very good discussion on privacy coins. Galufi, why are you talking about Bitcoin Cash? This is a very old project and not interesting anymore. I agree, Galufi. It's totally out of the spotlight, and it may indeed end up becoming nothing. But it does have a USP, a unique selling proposition, and it's like you take a sort of, you could even look at it as an insurance. You take a call option on something. Bitcoin Cash, actually, at current valuations, you can just look at it as a call option to or an insurance in case Bitcoin BTC fails. Will all that value go to Ethereum? Will people just give up on the dream of Bitcoin? No, like some people will still want to make Bitcoin a success, the Bitcoin brand name a success. It's such a strong brand. And also the philosophy, like they want to give it another try. And Bitcoin Cash is the next in line. That's where the value will go from those that want to give Bitcoin another try, or want to see better at what happened, what went wrong with Bitcoin, and they will discover actually Bitcoin Cash is also Bitcoin. It forked away from Bitcoin BTC and it continued to develop things in the right way. Um, and so it is possible that value goes to Bitcoin Cash in the future, and that actually certain innovations are developed on Bitcoin Cash in the future. It still is possible to succeed, though I agree it's a very long shot, but a small exposure can pay off. He says dump Bitcoin Cash for Solana. Yeah, that would be very foolish. I explained also why earlier in this live show. True boom shakalaka. Doesn't matter if Kamala or Trump wins, he says. DeFi will be big if Trump wins, and meme coins will be big if Kamala wins. Well, I think that indeed it's true that the foundation of cryptocurrency are strong. It's basically just private currencies that are now allowed and not outlawed anymore. And so likely they will go up in the long term versus fiat currencies and banking currencies. So I agree with that. And but that's all based on the fact that it's not outlawed. Because if you outlaw it, then no, it will not be a success. Like, as long as private currencies were outlawed, the market was dead. As long as private companies were outlawed in communist Russia or communist China, the market was dead. Like, there's nothing possible if the force of government, backed with violence and guns and jail, prohibits something, then there will not be a market, and there will be no value. And it has been a risk from the start for cryptocurrencies when it started with Bitcoin, BTC, that it would be outlawed. And what it didn't happen, it was not outlawed. But what we do is to start a covert fight. Covert fight has really becoming stronger and stronger. So it's not a done deal, and it really depends a lot on whether okay, there is always competition between governments, but if the leader, there is always a hierarchy in human society, and there's always the biggest government. If the biggest government, which is the United States, goes the direction of outlawing it, then the market you won't be able to make much money there. Even if in some other countries they will still allow it, it will become a lot harder. And if Kamala wins and the Democrats wins, it's much more likely to go into that direction. Whereas if Trump and the Republicans wins, it's a lot less likely. So it does matter who wins this election, I believe, for cryptocurrency. Mike Seo says, what do you think about Africa versus Asia for living, investing, and girls? I think Asia is attractive, very beautiful girls and women in Asia, thin, beautiful face, and also you can find very loyal and conservative, traditional women there, I believe, in the Philippines, for example, and young. So there is certainly potential there, but you want to go where it always pays off when you go where there is almost no competition, and in Africa there is almost no competition. In Asia you have lots of white men looking for women. You're competing with many other white men, and if you go to countries where that seem too many of them, actually the opportunities are a lot less. I think Thailand, for example, is a lot more difficult to find someone because white men have been going there for a long time. With the Philippines, because it's so big and considerably poorer, you still have opportunities there. But yeah, probably countries that actually you don't hear in Asia are better opportunities. Myanmar, for example, you don't hear much about that. Probably you have more, like it's going to be easier to find someone there, probably, if they are less white guys. But that certainly applies to Africa. I'm quite surprised by that, but many white guys actually don't like black women. And because the image they have of black women is fat, and big and not and rude, and but there is certainly such a segment but that comes from America mainly, but it's also true in Africa that women grow fat quickly, and it's a strange thing what's happening there, like they really have a obesity problem, a black woman, but like it's very culturally it's a cultural thing, it's not a DNA thing, I believe, because they do eat a lot more also when they go fat, so it's not that the DNA causes them to grow fat, it's really the habits, eating habits, and of course when you look yourself you can find many thin black women also and black girls, and so like I do think for me I really found it there, but I never went looking in Asia also, I noticed I like black, I had one black girlfriend in America when I traveled there, and I noticed I like black women, and that's why I decided to go to Africa. I didn't put but also like the way we are raised is like, oh, Africa is very poor, and that's also actually that also creates opportunity, Asia is more developed than Africa, Wow, that was a big one. Jack Chalat says, thank you, Mark. Very good advice on cutting losses early. DM says, Solana is beating Ethereum on all important usage metrics and throughput, so it's not as clear a winner as you think. Solana is beating Ethereum on all important usage metric and throughput. That's just not correct what you're saying. All important usage metrics. So you're talking about amount of transactions, but that can be easily faked. You cannot just look at the amount of transactions and throughput. No. Like usage metrics is a lot more than just looking at amount of transactions. That can easily fool you. You have to look at the real usage, the real amount of transactions, and different other indicators. We're talking here about a financial network where you can actually create assets on top of it. So then we're looking at the amount of real assets, not bullshit assets. Like you have 1,000 meme coins, like sorry, but there's very little value there. Like you need to look at, okay, how many real assets does Solana have versus Ethereum? That's trading on top of it, and that will over time likely gain in importance. And then I don't mean just real world assets. No, I mean also just could be also digital assets, like NFTs or other cryptocurrencies that could be meme coins also. I'm not saying there is no value in meme coins, but like it's much more likely a meme coin will go to zero over time and will not build value over time than it is, for example, for a real world asset where you're trading stocks on a blockchain or something. Danilov. Good call from Benjamin Cohen to convert all Ethereum to BTC several years ago and hold. I bought more Ethereum since then, so looks like a good call from you about Ethereum and BTC. Yes, Benjamin Cohen is a famous Bitcoin maximalist, I believe, and he is way too bullish on Bitcoin BTC now. But yeah, if he indeed made the call a couple of years ago to convert Ethereum for BTC, then yeah, that was the right call then. But I don't think that would be the right call today. DM says, I have a big loss on one altcoin. You will get a good laugh. It's called Pulse Chain. What a waste of 250,000 US dollars. Sorry for your loss, man. We all got them. Akuteo Blibli says, if BTC fails, only coins that solve the reason that caused it to fail will be able to succeed. Since we do not know why it fails, if it does, you cannot say BCH will be the one that people flock to. No, I don't say people will flock to BCH when BTC fails. I say some people will flock. There's a big difference. Some value will likely go to BCH, and you only need some value to go to BCH for BCH to be a good investment. Smooth Operator says BCH and XMR are the only coins that make sense at this point. Okay, that's interesting to hear, Smooth Operator, and nice to see you back. Guys, we are 1 hour 20 minutes in. I'm going to have to end the call. If you're a US citizen, please vote for Trump, and please have some other people also vote for Trump, that you can still drag to the polling stations. I think it's very important for Trump to win, and I think they will try to cheat, of course, more even than in the previous election, the Democrats, and bring in lots of fake votes. So it's very important to really vote massively if you're a cryptocurrency investor. But it's I fully agree with Elon Musk. Like, it's actually, if you just run a company in the United States, or if you just plan to for your children to grow up in the United States, it's actually very important that that it shifts to the right and to the Republicans at this point in time. There is even world war possible here. The way they treat the Russians, the Democrats are just out of their mind to provoking the Russians who have nuclear weapons like that. I think that's really absolutely foolish, and the Europeans just go along with that. I think that's extremely dangerous. A world war can happen, and that's the first thing that needs to be avoided, and that I think another 4 years of the Democrats really is a risk of that to happen. Big things happening tomorrow. Let's hope and pray that it doesn't escalate into something bad. Bye all.